police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters counsel is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my lord.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
All right, good evening. Welcome to Legally Speaking on Nine Radio 101.1 FM and Spectrum TV, free to air and start times. My name is Anthony, a book and legal practitioner with Law Partners and Associates. It's a regular evening on Legally Speaking, but today we're going to talk about three very necessary discussions. One of them is that the senator representing the YPP, the only senator representing YPP at the Senate, has decamped and moved to the All Progressive Congress, the APC. And it's not news because it's been happening in Nigeria and almost perennially that the trajectory is that the party with a fewer number of candidates usually try to move to the larger party. The big absorbs the small. But is that legal? What does the Constitution say? Is there an exception to the rules? That's what we are going to look at on Legally Speaking today. Furthermore, there's been an appointment by the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, of the new chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC. People have celebrated the appointments, some have queried the appointments. The query of the appointment is basically on the qualification of the appointed chairman. We also look at that and confirm, well, not really confirm, explore the directions whether or not by law he is qualified to be the chairman, and if not, what can be done about it. Finally, not finally, just news, so when we start, we'll get to that. We'll take a short break, then when we resume, I'll introduce my guest.
The Nigerian police force, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters counsel is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my lord.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
All right, welcome back to Legally Speaking. Anthony will still with you. I have with me the studio to my immediate left, Tini Bassi. Tini Bassi is a legal practitioner with Law Partners and Associates. Tini, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I also have with me in the studio Hannah Essien, a regular face, usual suspect. And Hannah is not a lawyer, but she's a social commentator, and she's welcome to the show. Hannah.
Thank you very much. Good evening, listeners and viewers.
All right. I had said we'll start first with the news that Honorable Emmanuel Enoidem of the Uyo Bar Akwa Ibom State has been elevated to the office, or confirmed elevated to the office of the Senior Advocate of Nigeria by the Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee, LPPC. And I wish him the best of time, enjoying his new and well-deserved rank, right? Hannah, you with me?
Congratulations to him. I understand it's not everybody who gets to be admitted into that class of advocates. So it means he has been found worthy. Congratulations to him.
Yes.
Congratulations to him. It is worthy of note that we don't have a lot of SANs from Akwa Ibom, so it's refreshing to know that we have a new one from Akwa Ibom. So
yeah, if we've had a couple, I think whoever they were, Nwoko was the first homegrown. By homegrown, I mean he started his practice in Uyo, and he stayed all through, and he's become a senior advocate. Same thing with Emmanuel Enoidem now, saying he has been a commissioner in Akwa Ibom State government during the tenure of the Senate President now, Godswill Akpabio. He has been a lecturer. I think I first knew him as a lecturer, then a commissioner. Now, then they became the PDP legal advisor for some time, national legal advisor. Now he is the senior advocate of Nigeria. So things are looking up for him. Congratulations, sir. All right, we will now go to some of the major discussions we have lined up for you. We understand the YPP, the
Progressives Party.
Yes, I mix up all their names. They are said to drag Ifeanyi Ubah to court over the defection. Ifeanyi Ubah was the senator, the only senator from the Young Progressive Party.
Yes.
And now he's moving from the Senate, from his party, abandoning his party and claiming there's a disaffection in the party. All right, let's start with Etini. Etini, you've read a little of that. What's going on?
Yes, for what I've read, Ifeanyi Ubah, who was a senator holding one seat in the Senate, has defected. He has left his party, original party, YPP, to the All Progressives Congress. And his reason for defecting is, according to him, irreconcilable differences that he has with the chairman of the Young Progressives Party.
Irreconcilable difference. Hannah, can you reconcile those differences?
We don't get to know what difference. I mean, when you have differences with someone, it's between the two of you. But what I find interesting there is that they said Ifeanyi Ubah had contested on the YPP platform when he was elected senator in 2019. So, and he contested again on the platform and won a re-election for this 10th Senate. And he has decided to leave on a reason which I do not believe is one that is permitted by the Constitution. Because if you look at the Constitution, leaving one party on which you were elected to the Senate is grounds for disqualification, losing your seat in the Senate. There was a provision, though, that you can leave on condition, a certain condition, and that condition was if the party you have moved to has merged. So maybe if YPP had merged with APC, it would have been within the law for him to have become a member of APC when he had contested as YPP. And I think the other condition is if the party you came from has split. maybe the party has
No, there is
disintegrated,
discrepancy.
is not in existence anymore, the party has broken down. The YPP is very much alive, and our dear senator has decided to leave so early in the day into leave the party to the next. So I don't know what they are going to do about it because
All right. Yes. So we won't go too much into what we believe. Let's see. What does the law say with respect to defections in the Senate?
Okay, section 68 of the Constitution is to the effect that a member of the Senate or of the House of Representatives shall vacate his seat in the house of which he is a member if, being a person whose election to the House was sponsored by a political party, he becomes a member of another political party before the expiration of the period for which that House was elected, provided that his membership of the latter political party is not as a result of a division in the political party of which he was previously a member, or of a merger of two or more political parties or factions by one of which he was previously sponsored.
Okay,
That's
so
what the law says.
so well from the division, maybe the irreconcilable differences between him and the chairman qualifies
one that defected.
qualifies
It
as
cannot be
a
a
division.
division.
No.
It's only
Qualifies
one
as
that
a
defected.
division.
no,
in
I
the
think,
party.
I think the Constitution envisaged a situation like this and tried to curb it to say you shall cease to be a member of the Senate or the House of Reps if you move cross-carpeting is what it's called,
Yes.
for one political party, the platform from which you were elected. To another, you know, for convenience, I believe. That to be for convenience. If you're uncomfortable with the political party that elected the chairman, he didn't say the political party. He said the chairman of the political party that elected him. And you've had irreconcilable differences. Does that qualify or mandate you to take their ticket? Because election in Nigeria does not recognize individuals. It recognizes political parties. That's why you hear them say PPP has 14 seats, APC has 12 seats,
Yes.
this party has 1 seat. They didn't say has Okun, Afyong, they said seats belonging to political parties, not you.
Yeah.
Now you have moved that seat by your personality to APC.
And now they have no seats because they
The
had
party
just
has no seat again.
They had just one.
And in
seat
some
in
cases, there are some claims that they say if you don't have a winning vote for any political appointment, you should be deregistered. For instance, now they have a seat for the Senate.
Okay.
So if you are screening out political parties for being unproductive, you are weeding out political parties, you can't weed out that party because they have a senator.
Yeah.
They've won an election.
Okay.
Okay. So now when you carry that win to different political parties, it creates a sense of loss, an artificial sense of loss for a party that worked so hard to vote you into office. You now move away. The law has made provision for alternatives, like maybe there's a division in the political party, right? Now, not maybe there's a quarrel between the senator and the political party. It should be there's an internal battle ongoing in the political party to the extent that sometimes you don't even have a secretariat.
But he should have stated it since it's a requirement of the law. He should have just put it out there that there is division. The word division.
Yeah.
That's why he believes, I think he believes that saying the irreconcilable difference between him and the chairman is a division.
My contention is that it's just one person that's leaving the party. A division would entail so many people having issues at the same time.
Yes, multiple party offices, multiple party officials, right? And like I think there was a time in Akwa Ibom say where you had the APC office at Ekpo and the APC office at Korekpene Road, and they had 2 different primaries, you know, and they were in court trying to say which of the primaries is the authentic primary. That could qualify almost for a division, right? But where you don't have those kind of things present, all right, maybe it's present in their claim. Then what does the law say should happen to him? 1, the law says he has lost his seat, the Senate president ought to declare his seat vacant.
Yeah.
That's it.
But let me read subsection 2. It says the President of the Senate or the Speaker of the House of Representatives, as the case may be, shall give effect to the provisions of subsection 1. That's where the provisions emanated from, of this section. So, however, that the President of the Senate or the Speaker of the House of Representatives or a member shall first present evidence satisfactory to the House concerned that any of the provisions of that subsection has become applicable in respect of that member.
Please repeat that, please.
What if?
Repeat that, please. That who has? No, just the last one. Who, the members or any member?
Of these sections. So, however, that the President of the Senate or the Speaker of the House of Representatives or a member shall first present evidence satisfactory to the House concerned that any of the provisions of that subsection has become applicable in respect of that member.
Okay.
So my question would be, what if the evidence he has presented as irreconcilable differences for the House, and the House actually
yes,
rules
that's
on
that's
it,
true.
that is enough
That's true. Now we now
to
compare it with the YPP going to court.
Yes, and my impression here is that it has to be a member
of
the House or
and the Senate president.
Because I know a number of senators have done the same thing. They have moved from, even our dear governorship candidate, Obong Albert,
Yes,
Basi Albert.
he did cross carpet.
He left, what party was he in?
PDP.
To what? Is it the
YPP.
This YPP. He left while he was still a senator, and nobody said anything about it. So my understanding now here is that unless the Senate President or the Speaker of the House or a member decides to raise the issue, if nobody says anything, you're cool.
That's
I think his own, there was actually an obvious division. Everyone could see that division.
In whose time?
Wipe Oba's time.
When was that? When was that?
When was the division?
The unfortunate thing is that Nigerians don't obey the law. The law favors the bigger parties. Because the bigger parties have the Senate President, and unless the Senate President makes a pronouncement, I know it's in a
yeah, so why was the law written that way? If the law, they meant it for it to be an offense, when you do this thing, you lose it, they wouldn't have tied it to somebody now,
I
the
think
president
they ought to have also made a provision that the party can go to court, and when they succeed in the court, they send a representative who takes over from that person.
Yes.
But now that is not what happened. And if you come to Akwa in previous years, we've had such experiences where the ruling PDP invoked this provision of the law and sacked some members of their parties who moved away from with the seats. Instead, you no longer a member
because that's what the law said. It
and
said
suspended
they
their
have
privileges, right? Suspended the privileges, so you only activate the law when it's in your favor.
Well, that's why the law was written that way, so it favors them.
right.
Why was the law written that way? It was meant so they have not. If they keep quiet, they have not broken the law. But the law said when they decide, if it happens, and now somebody, you are a one party. I mean, it's just one seat. There's no other person to say, oh, you have removed. Even if they were at least two, it has said, okay, the other YPP member can say, the other YPP senator can bring it up. Why you? But he was the only person there. So who's going to speak for YPP there? Nobody.
Well, it's just an unfortunate situation, and as events unfold, we see what will happen in court when the YPP moves into court. We hear what the court will say and how it will play out eventually in the course of time. Let's move to the next story. The President of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has appointed Olukoyede Esquire, a former secretary of the EFCC, as a new chairman of the EFCC, following the resignation of the previous chairman. See, it's not even up to 1 month, and people have forgotten
Abdul
Rashid Bawa. Yes, I mean, with all the things he did.
No, we didn't forget Bawa. It's his first name.
His first name.
Abdul Rashid Bawa has been with us.
Okay, so the president has appointed a replacement following his resignation, and has sent the name to the Senate for confirmation. However, we have people bickering and worrying if at all, if the Senate will confirm that appointment, because there are provisions of the law that they believe the new nominated chairman has not met. The nominated chairman is a 22-year post-call lawyer, and he's been with the EFCC at least since 2016. 2016, he was said to have been a personal assistant. Is he special assistant?
Chief of Staff.
Chief of Staff to Bangu, the former chairman of the EFCC, and then became the secretary to the board of EFCC. Now elevated, my friend wouldn't like me to say, has grown in the ranks. Has risen in the ranks.
He didn't rise from anywhere.
To be the EFCC chairman. So let's see. I think, Hannah, you really have this support for that posting, or that promotion and that nomination.
Support?
Yes.
Well, I remember when Bawa was nominated, there was talk in town, there was argument that Bawa was not qualified, and at the end of the day, we found that he was, because the question was did he work in a law enforcement agency? I mean, the provision of the Act for who qualifies as a chairman of the commission says that you have to be a serving or a retired member of a government security or a law enforcement agency, and then you have to be at least the rank of Assistant Commissioner of Police, which then we had talked about it on this program. We found that the Assistant Commissioner of Police is a level 13 officer. So when we looked at when Bawa started work in the EFCC, we found that he met the qualifications, 15 years working in the EFCC, and he met that rank of level 13. So we deemed him qualified at the end of the day after all arguments. Now here we are presented with somebody who was a chief of staff for 2 years. And then he was appointed secretary. He didn't even serve the 5 years, the 5-year tenure that a secretary is supposed to serve. And then if there's a need, if you're deemed fit for renewal, you renew the tenure, meaning that the secretary has 10 years at most to serve. This man was there from 2018 to 2020, and he was out. So what's the argument now? Everybody believes that the man has not worked in a government security. He hasn't worked in a law enforcement agency for long enough. We don't know about rank. We are not even talking about his rank. All the people that are arguing for him are saying was that he was a secretary, and how he rose. Somebody that's arguing in his favor said he rose to become secretary, when it is clearly stated that a secretary is appointed by the president, and the Act doesn't even stipulate where the secretary is to come from. You're appointed by the president, and you're to have a 5-year tenure. So I'm wondering where this rising that is, they are trying to make it look as if he rose through, he grew to become secretary. You don't grow to become secretary, you're appointed.
Let's stop your growth first now. Let's go on a short break, eh? When we come back from that break, we'll discuss further and open the phone lines for listeners and viewers to call in and make their contributions heard. A short break.
The Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by gross level, our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigeria Police Force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian Police Force.
No, my Lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My Lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My Lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my Lord.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord. I'm just reminding you, Lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Yes, welcome back to Legally Speaking. We have been discussing with Hannah Essen and the team in Basi Esquire. And we have been discussing issues currently surrounding the appointment of the new EFCC chairman. Some people seem to say that he is qualified and others think he is not qualified. That's where we are right now. So if you want to join the conversation, the number to call will be 090-222-31011. Repeat that number again. 090-222-31011. The alternative number to call will be 070-454-17707. I repeat that alternative number. 070-454-17707. So, it's in the up to you. Hannah has made some very, very wild and wide accusation of the appointments with respect to the qualification. Let's even hear what the law says on who shall be the chairman of the EFCC.
Okay. The EFCC Act provides that Section 2 of the EFCC Act provides that the commission shall consist of the following members: a chairman, who shall be the executive and accounting officer of the commission, and then he shall be a serving or retired member of any government security or law enforcement agency, not below the rank of an assistant commissioner of police or equivalent, and possesses not less than 15 years cognate experience. That's it on who a chairman would be. And then Section 3, Sub 3 provides that the chairman and members of the commission, other than the ex-officio members, shall be appointed by the president, and the appointments shall be subject to confirmation by the Senate.
Okay. I think from the two sections you read, I'll start from the last. Say the chairman shall be appointed by the president, and that appointment shall only be subject to confirmation by the Senate. It didn't say anything about the court. All right? And if the Senate confirms that appointment, it might stand.
Yes, but I think before the Senate will confirm this appointment, they'll have to look at the provisions of the Act.
Now, I've hardly heard anybody appointed into an office with his post-call experience as an emphasis. The appointment of Olukoyade has been described or inscribed with a 22-year post-call as a lawyer, a practicing lawyer. And there's this emphasis too on the fact that he has been with the EFCC not just as a secretary, but also even as a personal chief of staff, you know, to show that he's gotten experience on how the workings of the EFCC is. Now, don't forget, most appointments come with a qualification or a grading. Upon being appointed, I've seen somebody appointed from the regular private services to the office of a director. You are appointed at level 16. It's happened. He could be appointed at that level as a secretary. I don't know if the secretary to the EFCC board is usually a level 12 officer or 13 or 14. But I'm suspecting that that's what happened when he was brought in, because they have to give you a grading for remuneration. The appointment shall be so and so at grade level this. Even when you came in with a 12-year post-call experience of a lawyer, being a lawyer, right? So I assume that that is what happened. I've seen magistrates being appointed from the private bar to level 15. So he might scale that if those appointments are subject to such qualifications, but I've scaled on that part. And whether the cognitive what?
Imposes not less than 15 years cognate experience.
Cognate.
Cognate.
Yes. Hannah, what do you understand with that cognate experience? Allied, right?
Experience that's related to the work.
For instance, a lawyer, a legal practitioner. He's been a legal practitioner and he's been in several areas of legal practice. That qualifies him.
No, that he's 22 years post-call as a lawyer doesn't mean his experience to work in EFCC. Doesn't mean he has a 15 years cognate experience.
They didn't say 15 years as a sharpshooter, a policeman that is shooting guns. They said he has, yes, you can smile at me if you want to. Shoot your shot. Let's hear your position.
Okay, so as you're sitting down here, you can claim you have 15 years cognitive experience in
well,
security
if I have
and law enforcement.
If I've been there as a chief of staff to the chairman, I would have ample experience moving the corridors of the EFCC.
He was, how long was he chief of staff? 2 years.
Then he became
and that
secretary.
2 years became 15 years.
No, he became secretary.
Became secretary for another 2 years.
4 years.
Yes.
4.
Very far away from 15.
Those are two different arms of government.
Yes.
The law enforcement agency and security.
And what does a chief of staff do?
The chief of staff is a man Friday. It's the man Friday of the chairman. He does everything the chairman wants to do, has to do. He books his appointments, he clears his table, and all those issues. And that's what he coordinates activities for the chairman.
So 2 years.
For how many years?
Yes. Would you think if you work with Magu for 1 month, you won't have enough experience? Magu was a dogged
There was a reason they specified, because I see in most posts, even you know, you're a lawyer, you know.
Oh, so as a lawyer, I should know. So as a lawyer, you should have the experience.
You read law, so you know they included tax. They'll say should be a lawyer, should be an accountant. Why do they say that? Because as a lawyer, you are exposed. You were taught tax. You know about tax. As a lawyer, you were taught, so they tell them you have to have this cognitive experience before you become a chairman of a federal inland revenue service and all that. There's a reason they use the word cognate. They don't say you have experience. I have worked for over 23 years. I can't jump in to become a tax person because my experience is not in that area. So for someone to now say it means he has experience from wherever he came from. So he can import his experience and put it there in that.
Well, you see, sometimes I'm not holding brief for the president or the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I'm just thinking aloud. If he has been around for a while and his name didn't just pop up, there must have been some recommendation based on some recognized services. Wouldn't you think that that's strong enough?
My experience as a teacher is more than his own self, so I have a lot of experience.
Would your position be different if it was a teacher instead of a lawyer?
No, he's a teacher. A teacher is limited. Very limited. A teacher's experience is quite limited. The law experience is very limited.
A medical doctor's experience now, so he can
a medical doctor's experience is quite limited because that's health oriented. See, the EFCC is basically a law enforcement. Law, not health enforcement.
Law enforcement.
Law enforcement.
Yes.
So anybody that has been in the field as a lawyer practicing ought to have some experience in
Law enforcement. Like
Because
you.
it-
did I say I was?
What experience do you have in law enforcement? You've been a lawyer for a while.
No, because unless you're seeing the office of the secretary or the chairman as purely administrative, which of course is co-ed by the secretary.
Is the secretary that is the head of the administration? That
So
means the chairman is not administration.
Yes.
So all he did was run the secretariat for 2 years. And we are claiming that that is what his experience as serving, that was his experience as serving in a law enforcement agency. I don't think so. That's
Okay.
my opinion.
Yes, so I want to think Esini shares the same opinion.
No, it's a secretary to the commission. Would that person be considered as a member of government security or law enforcement agency? Because secretary basically does administrative work.
When you say I'm a secretary to, let's take a FCC Monument Bank, I'm a company secretary, doesn't mean I'm not a banker.
No, company secretary can be a
Company
lawyer.
secretary is not.
Yes, a company
It's a very
secretary can be a
different
lawyer.
thing
It's a different thing.
No,
Can be a lawyer.
The company secretary can claim to be a banker because he's been in the banking sector all his life.
A company secretary can also be a lawyer.
You can't claim to be.
That's- I mean
You
in the
can't
bank-
claim
I mean
to be a
specifically.
banker. Now, besides a company secretary, is it only lawyers that are company secretaries?
Yes.
I know people who are trained in. There's this Chaktar Institute of Secretaries. They can also be secretaries. Or if I'm wrong, please correct me.
No, you're right.
Don't worry, I'll correct
Then being a secretary of this commission secretariat, it's not even the same thing as being a. And he did it for only 2 years.
Because what
I
I'm
don't
seeing
know
here,
what-
government security or law enforcement agency,
Yeah.
it should be someone in the police force, something like that.
Yes, that's where I was coming to.
So
If
that
you
we
notice-
are
if you
claiming that
notice-
he worked there. He
No,
had worked
hold
in
on.
EFCC.
Yeah, I agree.
2 years.
I agree, I
You're
agree
insisting
to
on 2 years of chief of staff. That because he was chief of staff, he packed
all
10
the
years of experience
and so
into
on.
2 years because he was chief of
Yes. Now
staff.
let's look at the law again. What did the law say? If you begin that law, you would notice that probably the emphasis on the law was to ensure that anybody that be heading the EFCC, most people that will head the EFCC will be coming from outside the system. And he said, okay, if you're coming from outside the system, that's my proposition. If you're coming from outside the system, or since you're coming from outside the system, you should be at least
And he
assistant.
specified where
I don't
you are coming in.
I don't agree
from.
with that outside because
Alright,
there's law
alright.
The
enforcement
outside
agency.
was government
EFCC.
security.
we
It's a
will
law
do that.
enforcement agency.
Please, if you want to join us, the numbers to call is 090-222-31011, and the other number is 070-454-17707. Do well to call us and probably lend your voice to this argument. Now, when you read that law is very clear on who shall be appointed. It even never said the appointment should be from within the commission.
Nobody is
Bauer,
talking about being in the
hold
committee.
on.
In fact, is it not what
Yeah, I'm
you
trying
wanted
to-
to use to disqualify
lot
Bauer
of
then?
people wanted to
And
use
we
it to
said
disqualify
Bauer
Bauer.
worked in a law enforcement agency because EFCC is law enforcement. So at this point, you're emphasizing that it was meant to be outside.
Outside.
But the
I'm not emphasizing-
outside was
law enforcement
defined.
I'm only saying let's
And
read the law.
EFCC is a law enforcement
Can you
agency.
read it? Can you read the law?
It says the commission shall consist of the following members: a chairman who shall be the chief executive and accounting officer of the commission, be a serving or retired member of any government security or law enforcement agency, not below the rank of assistant commissioner of police or equivalent.
Equivalence.
Yes.
So the key word there was equivalence. And what you found in the equivalence was the grade level, right? The grade level 17, 16, 14, 12. And we found out that the assistant commissioner of police was grade level.
Was a secretary.
Because
He's
when
a
I
secretary.
looked down through the law, I saw other officers, and there was a reference made to coordinating with what obtains in the federal civil service. and I didn't see that being written about the secretary. So I don't know if the secretary was even given a grade level. I don't know.
Mary, can you
I mean,
assume
if
that he was given a grade level? Can you assume that if you come in as a secretary, you would have to be graded to a certain level?
I
For how
can't
many years
assume.
did he
We mustn't do assumptions here. You have to confirm.
But however, I think in my personal opinion, I had thought that a new era had come with power, where the heads of the commission would be from within the system. Yes.
No, I don't agree with you that
No,
it
no.
was a new era.
No, it
It has
was.
stated Bauer was the EFCC is a law enforcement
No,
agency.
you don't understand
So
what I
Bauer
mean. You
came
don't
out of
understand
there.
what I
Nobody
mean.
is talking about
Bauer
coming
came from
in
the
from.
pioneer state of the EFCC. No staff of the, no operative of EFCC had ever been chairman.
Yes.
Their chairman were always brought from outside the system.
Because they
And
weren't up to
Bauer-
15 years.
yeah, Bauer
None of
was
them
a
was up
pioneer,
to 15
right?
years.
So we were thinking that from Bauer's time, there will be a new shift where people who rise to be chairman are rising from within.
The law
You
has
were
always
thinking
remained
on
the
your
same.
own.
The law has always
You were
remained the
thinking
same.
on your
law
own.
is
The
still
law
the
is
same.
still the law.
No, I'm not changing the law. I'm saying, for instance, if you go to Nigerian Police Force, it's from amongst them that the commissioners are made. It's from amongst them that the Inspector General of Police emerges. You don't bring an Inspector General of Police from a retired Comptroller General of Police.
That's their own act
No, I'm saying-
specified how they
yes,
get their
I'm saying
own
that if
commissioner.
It would be neater or more proficient to have somebody who's been in the system for a period. He's grown in the ranks. He knows the issues bordering on every
So
level.
now that you're
you're
talking
saying Ola
about
has
growing
grown
the
in the
ranks,
ranks.
he hasn't grown.
I think-
He was there for.
I think you are taking me away from what I'm saying. You're trying to zero me to Ola. No, that's not my place.
Ola is here. You're making
have-
a point.
No, I have moved away
Ola
from him.
has not grown.
I have moved away from him. All right. So I'm actually looking at the appointment of the chairman for whatever it's worth. Appointment of the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission.
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that it would have been neater if he came from.
Why are you of that
Within the
opinion? I mean, this is the law.
If
Why are
it
you
came
bringing
No, I mean,
in
even if-
neatness?
Yeah.
If it came from
Can you
within the
listen to
system.
me? Yes.
No, I agree with you because it's here in the law.
Yes, if it was another zonal head, because they are of the same class, maybe a zonal head from Lagos or from Kano, other than, okay, the chairman has been removed,
Yes.
one of his classmates.
No,
could
but
have
the
been
law
made
does
chairman.
not limit, so that's
I
why.
know, I'm saying that when he came in, everybody thought, okay, they have broken through, they are of age now,
I didn't
they
think.
have stayed for a period, they've done 15 years, so they can now begin to produce their chairman. Notwithstanding that the presidency has powers to bring somebody from the Nigerian Police Force. So now, if it's encouraged, if their performance is better than that, because I want to tell you, Bauer did very well. Yes, Bauer did very well.
Okay.
He was quite young, but his performance wasn't out of, wasn't below par. So I'll give it to him. He did well whilst his time was there. Now he's been out for whatever reason it is. I don't have an issue with that.
Yes.
So I'm thinking maybe the new person would have been better if the new person was a replacement from within his ranks, from within his classmates. Okay? So at a point you retire, because that's what the military does. The military would take one of your ranking members and retire others, so that the next person would not be from your classmate again. It will be somebody below your course.
Well, maybe what you're doing now is it's looking like you're asking for this particular law to be changed, let it be now
More
that it's
accommodating.
saying the EFCC chair should be appointed from within EFCC, because that's what you're
No,
saying.
the law is not
If it-
against it.
If the law is
The
not
law is not
against
against
it,
it.
if
You're
it is a law
saying he's
enforcement
saying it should
agency.
be limited to
No,
EFCC.
I didn't say limited.
Because you're saying
No.
that's what you're saying.
No,
you're
I don't
you're
think so.
painting
What
a
I'm
picture
saying
that
is-
it's better.
What I'm saying is, I think it's preferable notwithstanding that the president has powers to appoint from outside the system. But that is preferable. I would have preferred if it was this other way.
Saying your
What is your
preference.
preference?
Now, because of time, let's move to the next line of reasoning. What will happen now? What if he is not qualified as you and Etimi seem to be opining? What would be the next line of action? What would the federal government do?
No, if the Senate says he's not qualified, the president has to choose
should appoint
somebody
another
else.
person.
If the Senate says he's qualified,
Well,
The Senate will have to go back to the law and check
if the Senate goes back to the law and still say the ayes have it,
well, there is
what
nothing we
options
can
we can
do, but
there's nothing we can do, but we can see in the law that he is not.
well, because I'm thinking that if a challenge is made to the, if a case is brought to court,
who would bring up the case?
who will bring up
That's the case.
anybody is entitled to under public public interest law. You can bring an application to tell the court, by law this person is not qualified and ought not to be the EFCC chairman, and the court will decide and declare that he's either qualified or not qualified. And if at that instance the president refuses to follow the law, it's a ground that can be raised for impeachment. Because that's why the law is there. Anybody can bring it up, public interest law, to say the president of Nigeria. You remember what happened when they challenged the outgone Inspector General of Police, whose tenure was elongated by the president? They went to court to say he ought to have retired on his birthday. You served for 35 years, or on your birthday. So, whichever one is younger, right? If you hit 35 years of service before your date of birth, you go. If your date of birth hits you before at 60, is it 60 then? Before your 35 years of service, you go. And this man has hit 60 before his 35 years of service. Please, can you ease out of the system? And the president was silent on it. It had to go to court. I think Muhammad Buhari then. Yes.
Okay.
Somebody went to court. What do we call them? Civil society organizations went to court and got a declaration that this man had ceased to be the Inspector General of Police. So what he's doing is being addressed in borrowed words. So same thing can happen here. If a local Kolade is not qualified and the Senate insists on imposing him on Nigerians can go to court to say, we don't want this unqualified person to lead us. If you want to continue, if you want him to continue as a Senate, as a secretary to the commission, please carry on. But the chairman of the commission has certain qualifications that must be scaled. Unless they have a way of calculating to say he has scaled those qualifications. Then if not, we could now settle to say he is still not qualified or he is not qualified. And the law will back us up.
Okay.
So that's the position, because a lot of people seem to be confused about it. And I'm wondering, what if he is or what if he is not? What do we do? That's the way to go.
We'll
That's
know
what
in a few weeks, in a few days.
in a few days' time.
For me, I think the Senate will okay his. I think the Senate will okay, but I don't think that his appointment fits what the law says. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, we have come full circle on legally speaking today. We have considered the defection of Senator Ifeanyi Uba of the Young Progressive Party, right? Not Young People.
Young Progressive Party.
Yes, Young Progressive Party. I like to call it Young People's Progressive Party, but it's a Young Progressive Party. He has cross-carpeted to the APC, and the law is not spiraling. And we want to see if and when YPP hits the courtroom, what the decision of the court will be. He has claimed that he has been are having an irreconcilable difference with the chairman of that party, which is not the position of the law. The law envisages a division within the party such that it is impossible for him to have a smooth settlement in his own party, in his own house. So he goes the way he can settle down and do the business of the Senate. In this case, I don't think the home front is as bad as he wishes Nigerians to believe. When they get to court, we hear from the court and probably watch the demeanor or the actions of the Senate President, who at this point ought to have declared his seat vacant. We've also discussed the issue of the appointment of the replacement of Rashid Power in the office of the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Whilst we congratulate the appointment of Olukoyade Esquire, we do that in muffled tones because there are issues of qualification that the EFCC Establishment Act has specified. We are not very sure he has made those qualifications. However, if he has, very well. If he hasn't, we'll see what the law would say and how the Senate will decide to vote on the day. If the Senate goes ahead to vote him, we just pray and hope that nothing more than that will happen. Because eventually, if somebody gets to court, the court might decide otherwise. And the Senate would have exposed the presidency to a level of what do you guys call it in law? Well, that will be the position of it. Until same time next week when we meet again, I am with Hannah Essien and Itini Basi. Make sure everything you do will be legal.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by gross level. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my lord.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.